The Accidental Entrepreneur is brought to you with the help of our sponsor, AWeber, the world's leading small business email marketing and automation service provider. Since 1998, AWeber has helped more than 1 million small businesses and entrepreneurs through its suite of web-based email marketing, automation tools, and education. AWeber, the best option when it comes to marketing your business. The podcast is also brought to you by the Alternative Board. Since 1989, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has been one of the leading peer advisory and business coaching organizations for independent business owners and CEOs across the world. By facilitating peer advisory boards, private one-on-one coaching, and strategic planning services, TAB helps business owners improve their businesses in ways that change their lives. And be sure to check out our affiliate sponsor, One of One Productions, the New Jersey-based podcast studio that produces and edits both audio and video podcasts. They sell equipment for the avid podcaster and have even created a guesting kit exclusively for our listeners. And be sure to support the podcast by ordering some logo merchandise from our online store. Listen to all of our sponsors' commercials later in this episode and follow their links in the show notes to learn more about their products and services. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Had another great guest today. I'll introduce Chris in a second. If you are listening on your favorite directory, and you can leave us a review, leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, like, I don't know, hit the bell. I don't know what other buttons there are, but hit them all. And be sure to support us so we can keep bringing you great conversations like the one that we have today. So let's get on with the show.
The information provided in these episodes is for entertainment purposes only. It is not a guarantee of success or to be construed as advice of any kind. You should always seek advice from local licensed professionals before making any decisions.
The dictionary defines an entrepreneur as a person who organizes and manages any enterprise, especially a business, usually with considerable initiative and risk. People often start a business without much choice, perhaps due to a job loss or just being dissatisfied at work, and they come up with an idea they just know can be successful. They become entrepreneurs by accident. That is to say, their success or failure happens by accident, not with intention. My name is Mitch Beinhacker. I'm a corporate attorney and a business advisor. You're listening to The Accidental Entrepreneur, my podcast about how to achieve success on purpose, not by accident. Join me along with our monthly guests where we share our knowledge and help you get a hold of your business. And now on to today's episode.
Okay, Chris, Lalomia, like
Hey.
you told me, right? You are
That's right.
not only the owner of the Trusted Toolbox. We're going to talk about all of your business prowess, but you are also a podcast host like me. You host the Small Business Safari podcast, and I believe I'm on your show like middle of April, something like that, right?
That's right. Yeah. Looking forward to it, man.
Okay. So I'm sure by the time this comes out, and we'll be all over the place doing all kinds of stuff. But why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do. Maybe we go backwards because I know you were corporate, right? Where you're from, what your background is in business, and we'll get up to why you left there and all the Trusted Toolbox and all the great stuff you have to share. Sounds like a good track to run on.
I'm ready to roll. So
Okay.
I'm originally from the great state of Michigan, where you can use your hand to tell everybody where you live and put that up in the air. Went to school for mechanical engineering and quickly realized I was in cold weather. So I ended up getting my master's in mechanical engineering down in North Carolina.
Okay.
Went to work in manufacturing because that was my passion, but I've always wanted to run my own business ever since I was 17. And I realized I had zero business experience working as a manufacturing engineer. And I wanted to get some more experience. So I went to work for a company at the time called Anderson Consulting, which is called Accenture today.
Right.
And I did that in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is a huge banking hub. And I said, hey, I'm really passionate about manufacturing. And they said, well, you can be, but you'll be on the road 52 weeks of the year. We think you might be really good at helping banks merge and use your engineering skill set of problem solving. And then you might only travel 40 weeks a year. And I went, hey, call me a banker, put me in.
Okay.
I didn't have to travel as much. And I started working with Nations Bank, which became Bank of America. I was on the merger team doing a lot of different things and found my way into banking and started doing a lot of fix-it things and doing work for large banks, which got me into Atlanta to a bank called SunTrust, which is now called Truist.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a pretty successful corporate career. I was definitely intoxicated with the bananas they were throwing my way in the zoo. And that was, I was making good money. I had a job at that point. I had 400 people working for me at SunTrust, running commercial loan ops and reporting.
Okay.
And then I realized I just wasn't doing what I love to do. I just hadn't started. So I started the Trusted Toolbox in 2008. That's right when the recession happened. And that was not the best timing in the world.
Yeah, that was when all the real estate crashed.
Yeah. And so I figured handyman business, right? Recession resistant. Can't be that bad. Well,
Right.
it was recession resistant, all right. I was able to grow slightly through it, but really got my chops together, really built a good process-based company. And today, 15 years later, I've got 44 employees. I've got a number of handymen, and I also have a remodeling division. And we've opened up another place outside of Atlanta. We're in the metro Atlanta area, for those listening. I opened up another place in another city called Athens, Georgia, where the home of the University of Georgia is.
Sure. Right. Absolutely. So you have an engineering background, you have a corporate background, so management and things like that. So it's kind of a good combination. Plus, I guess you're hands on, right? So if you have to, the guy doesn't show up or something, you can go out and do, probably don't want to, but you know.
You can't see it on the podcast, but my calluses are starting to go away because I've got the guys who are much better at it than me. But yes, I was pretty handy. One of the reasons I got into this business is that my vacations as a kid were really all about working on people's houses, my family members or friends,
Got it.
either building or fixing. So it was always something I've always enjoyed doing. So it was a passion of mine. So it's been really easy to talk to people about their homes. And since I've started, I've been in 15,000 homes.
Yeah. Mostly because your second location is just new.
Yeah.
Mostly is in Atlanta.
Right. Correct.
Okay, so then let's delve into that. You're coming out of corporate world. You have some business background. You have some finance background. What tell us about the process? Because a lot of people skip the process. They skip the steps. You probably didn't. How did you start sketching out, the business when you said, you know what, I think I'm going to do a handyman type of a business? How did you sketch it out and get that started?
Well, before I picked this business, I actually walked down the street in downtown Atlanta to the office of SCORE, which is part of the Small Business Administration.
Right.
I walked in and talked to one of the old gray hairs, as he called himself, and said, I said, I'm thinking about starting my own business. He goes, do you know what in? I said, not really. He said, well, here's some tools you can use. And then I also recommend you use a business plan. And this is before the internet was really pervasive with all these business plan templates. And I had a very simple business plan template, but I started working on it.
Yeah, they have a good one. I've actually based mine that I give to clients on theirs. On the SCORE one. I think SCORE originally, it's just like an acronym now. I think it stands for like Senior Corps of Retired Executives, maybe.
Yeah, I should know what the acronym is.
Yeah, I don't think they like the acronym, but it's SCORE. But they're a good group. I do a lot of speaking for them up in Jersey too.
Yeah, definitely a great resource. And the business plan template, you give it to your clients and people out there thinking about it. I don't see how you could start a business when you know that 1 out of 10 businesses actually succeed and 9 out of 10 fail. And you think you're going to be that 1 out of 10 without a business plan. I think you're just setting yourself up.
I know. And you know what? If you don't, look, it's not guaranteed, right? But you'll see a lot of things coming. You anticipate a lot of problems just by working it out on paper and writing down the skill set that you need and your marketing and how you're going to do it and the finances, right? How can you price your product? Are you still going to make money? All those kind of things.
You get to make mistakes for free, as I said, because I've made plenty of mistakes that cost me a ton of money since I started my business.
Right. Well, we all make mistakes, right? So you want to limit those to the smaller ones and don't make the bigger ones and learn from other people. I love SCORE. I think it's a great place for people to start with a resource of, talking to somebody who has experience who can guide you along so you're not doing it on your own.
Yep. The other thing that I did, I felt like I did a really good job of this, but I'll tell you how I screwed it up. Is that I developed a list of mentors, guys who were good at marketing, people good at branding, people who are good at finances, people who are good at CRM systems, people who are good at delivering home services.
People you could tap into for advice about different things.
And so I shared my business plan with them. The one thing I didn't do is I didn't go share it with somebody who was currently in the business I wanted to get in. I shared it because I figured that they wouldn't share with me because I was going to be a competitor.
Right.
Now, as I've learned now in the entrepreneurial world, just ask. And you'll find most guys will probably say, yeah, man, I'm happy to tell you how hard this freaking thing is.
Right. No, I think the people that are truly in business and are confident with what they do, they don't think like they're going to share something and all of a sudden you're going to put them out of business. Like that's, I know lawyers that are like that. And they're like, well, if we give them this for free, they're just going to go do it on their own. I'm like, you think practicing law is that easy that they're just going to be gone and never talk to us again? I mean, come on.
Exactly right. Yeah. I mean, bitch, you could tell me everything about being a lawyer and say, all right, man, go ahead. I would fall so fall and
Right, because I've been doing this 30 years. I've written hundreds and hundreds of thousands of documents and so forth. So, yeah, good advice. Look, Tab, you heard in the opening sponsors, the Alternative Board is one of our sponsors. I'm a big proponent of, either getting a couple of mentors, creating a small advisory board, having people to run things by. But I think your point about tapping into industry experts and people that have experience in that area is huge.
Yeah. And for anybody listening, if you're thinking about home services handyman, I'd be happy to talk with you because I'm going to tell you, it's really hard.
Yeah. Everything's hard if it's good, right? If there's opportunities to do well, make money, it's hard. It's not easy. It just doesn't come. So, well, what kind of things first of all, you said you did it wrong because you should have tapped into somebody from the industry, but what kind of things did you learn talking to those people, or did you learn nothing?
I learned a ton.
Okay.
Again, coming out of this business, into this business, I had never done marketing. And one of my big aha moments, literally a month into my business, was when I look back at my history, I had never been in a B2C business. I had always been, my first job in high school, I was a machinist while I was actually working on the dock. And then I got promoted to start working as a machinist. Then I went off to college.
Okay.
Then I worked as an engineer. Then I worked as a consultant. Everything I did was B2B. I had never worked in B2C. I had never cooked a hamburger so much as done anything of opened up a store.
Dealing with consumers directly, yeah.
And I just went, what am I doing? But I had tapped in and I had built a good brand. And so I got a lot of good feedback there. The one thing also that I didn't do, and I will share this advice too, because I share it all the time now, I didn't share my pro forma with many people. And my pro forma was built on a 20% net in the home service business.
Meaning that was your gross you thought you'd make 20% net.
Net.
Right.
And if you're in home services, you are not making 20% net. I've been at this and talked to so many people throughout my podcast, and everybody shares 20% is about double of what your best year will
be. It's a 10% margin business, pretty much?
Yeah.
Is that before taxes?
That is before taxes.
That's EBITDA, basically. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's a tough business. And one of the things, I didn't share that, and so one of the things you can put yourself as a test together is you put it together.
Right.
And here's my question. If you take your revenue projections and put that in half, and you take your expenses and you double it, is that still a business you want to start?
Yeah, right. Because it's first of all, you and I know the pro forma is not going to play out the way you think it's going to play out. So you're going to make mistakes, and you got to have room for mistakes.
When you try that really a big stress test on it, I tell you, it was a gut check. And looking back on it, would I have actually I've answered this question? I probably wouldn't have.
No, knowing that it's a 10% margin business, you'd be like, that's not, margins aren't big enough.
Right, because I had only known the consulting world and the banking world where, if you're going to provide consulting services, the margins are higher.
Right.
So I probably wouldn't have. But here I am. I kept going after it, and at least twice I probably should have shut the business down. But I'm so hard headed. Or I'm like most entrepreneurs, I'm optimistic, and I love solving problems. So I sat there at 3:30 in the middle of the night on my couch, crying myself to sleep, trying to figure out what the hell I just did. I woke up at 7 o'clock, got after it, and kept going. And here I am 15 years later on an overnight success.
Yeah, right. It's always an overnight success. It takes 15 or 20 years. Yeah. So, but obviously you are confident with your numbers if you're opening a second location in a different market.
Yep. I'm confident with our numbers in the service that we're providing and how we hold things now. And I do feel like this is a scalable business. Well, obviously, I scaled it in one location. I want to prove I can scale it in multiple locations as well.
Now, do you have any plans to license the name, franchise the deal?
Right now, sharing it with the audience, I've looked into franchising and I decided no. I have looked at the licensing option and I've decided no. Right now, my exit strategy, which I truly am working on, it's about 4 years away. It's a 5-year plan. I started 5 years or a year ago. Mm-hmm. Is to get a strategic acquisition, to be acquired into another home service business. I'm betting that the home services businesses in major metros are going to consolidate, and this would be one of many offerings that a consolidated offering would have.
Got it. Now you also formed, if I remember from your bio, some sort of a trade association for handyman or.
Well, so it's called the Home Service Institute. We actually provide training to other home service-based businesses around customer service. One of the big things in home services today, anybody thinking about it, if they have their own home and have to have somebody come work in their house, today we are expecting to outsource a number of things in our home,
Right.
whatever it may be, but we are also expecting a better level of service than we've had 20, 30 years ago. So
Right.
we really focus on the customer service piece and explain to the technicians in a voice that they'll understand why it's in their best interest to call and text 30 minutes ahead of schedule, to be on time, and why being on time is so important, because you can actually make more money as a technician.
Right.
The struggle as the owner is, we all know what great customer service looks like and the benefits of it because we get to make more money and work with people, but the technicians don't, or your service providers, your contractors. And when you explain to them, hey, man, you can have a better life, have a better transaction and a better day,
Right.
a better start to your day if you just follow these things, they're buying in. So we developed a series of videos and training modules that can be delivered remotely, served through the web. It's called the Home Service Institute. And you can easily roll out this training within your company to build a culture of customer service.
So this isn't necessarily acknowledging that owners don't recognize customer service. This is saying, okay, you need to train your people to get on board and to buy into your vision and to, be champions of the cause or whatever. And this is how we're going to teach them to do it.
Right. And you teach them this way, and you get them on what's in it for me.
Right.
And when we've been able to develop these modules and really train our team here, and we've trained some other companies as well, where you're seeing some uplift. So as an owner, I get to see great reviews, but
Right.
Great reviews mean great referrals, and that's better money. So now I don't have to spend as much on advertising.
Right. Of course.
My guys also are staying with me longer. My average tenure now is significantly longer than it was when I first started this training 10 years ago. My average tenure was 7 months. Now Now I've got guys who've been with me for 7 years. We've got guys who've been with me. Our average tenure right now is a little over a year and a half.
Yeah. So it makes the relationship more sticky. But you found that there was a lack of that kind of training and understanding in the business, I guess, right?
Absolutely. Because as owners, especially when I talk to other owners, they're like, no, man, let's talk about pay-per-click. Let's talk about how to get better customers.
Right.
But customer service is sales. And if you already have a customer, you've acquired that customer, why aren't you getting more share of their wallet?
Right. Retention.
Yeah. And so we train our guys on how to add sales, not necessarily be salesmen, but add on while they're there. And why is that in their best interest? Because you're there and the customer wants to do more work with you. You get to make more money.
Right. So, all right. So you have that. And then you also have the podcast, right? So are you just crazy like me, or is there a reason why you started the podcast? Because you also felt there was something you needed to teach people, or?
So I have my book, From the Zoo to the Wild, and I wanted to be able to have a vehicle to promote that.
Okay.
But I am a little crazy like you, just doing it, putting it out there. And then I convinced one of my buddies who's doing it for free. As a matter of fact, I make him bring the beer sometimes when we get together.
Yeah.
So I make him pay to be on the thing with me.
Nice.
We've been doing it for about a year and a half, but man, we're having a lot of fun. The way we attack it, just like you and I are talking now, is just let's have a conversation. Let's try to edutain people. I'm going to try to educate you a little bit, but man, I'm going to try to really entertain you with some stupid stuff.
Yeah. But it is to help business owners. I mean, that's the whole.
100%.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about starting your own business, listen to these podcasts because hopefully you'll pick up some nuggets. Do I say anything that's earth shattering? I'm not Stephen Covey. I'm not Peter Drucker. I'm not the E-Myth.
You're Chris Lalomia.
But I'm funny. No. So you can at least learn a few stories that way. And then if you're trying to scale a business, that has been extremely difficult because for a lot of us to scale a business, I'd love to tell you that we could use AI or we could use robots and we don't have to deal with people. But truly for almost all the businesses out there, if you really want to scale, you need people. If you need people, you need process. And if you need process, that's a boring conversation, but we try to make it fun. So we talk about different ways people have scaled and try to bring people on who are experts in scaling and start to take those little steps. Because it's not from day one to year 15 and here I am an overnight success. There's been a lot of trial and error.
Of course. And when you talk about business development like that, you can't just put out ads and start bringing in new business. You have to be able to handle the business and have people to support the business. And it's definitely a challenge. All right, good. So we're talking about, let's talk a little bit about your book, because I think that that's kind of where it all started, and all this stuff's kind of sprouting out of it, and why you write. I'm writing a book too. It should be out. I don't know. We're waiting for a copy from the publisher, but everybody seems to be writing a book. So what made you do the same thing?
Right. So everybody's wrote a book. Everybody has a podcast, blah, blah, blah. Why do you do it? And the reason is I just felt like I wanted to get my voice out there. It's an easy read. I've actually got one with me.
Perfect.
From the Wild. But I wrote it for somebody like me, little ADD, little time starved, rather listen to a 10-minute podcast or an Audible book.
Right.
But I wrote it for somebody like me where you're going to pick up a few nuggets. So it talks about my journey of leaving the corporate world. My aha moment was I looked at a gorilla in the zoo. And I was strolling my kids through the Atlanta Zoo here. We had a famous gorilla called Willie B at the time. Okay. And I looked at him and I'm like, look at you, man. You thought you were the king of the jungle. Now I know it's the lion. But I was looking at him. And he's in there. He's got a tire. The handler threw in a bunch of bananas. He went over there and ate them. And he had these 4 plexiglass walls around him with one door that took him out there. And I went, God, man. I mean, I here I am, king of the world myself. I'm top of the world. I had 400 people working for me, Mercedes, custom suits, taking time to take my kids to the zoo. Right. As I was strolling away, I went, oh my God, that's me.
Right.
I'm not the wild world.
That's Booth. Right.
So I talk about that. I talk about the business planning journey. And then the second half of the book, I talk about training what I call my lone wolves. My home service providers are carpenters and electricians and drywall specialists and painters. And these guys are all skilled artists, but they really view themselves as lone wolves. And so I invite them into our wolf pack because it's a delicate move on how you handle them. And I don't care if you're in computer programming, because I've talked to guys about this. And if you think about it, even in a law firm, right? If you try to choke down an associate too much, they're not going to be much.
No.
I want them to be that hungry lawyer that's going to go out there, solve problems, and try a case the right way or develop the right angle and argument. And if you choke them down too much, they're going to come to you. And what are they going to ask you? Hey, Mitch, how do you do this?
Right.
Well, that's why I hired you, buddy.
Right. Making self-sufficient.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the book. It's it is definitely about my journey. I felt like I was on top even 6 years ago. I felt like I was doing really well, and I had a mentor come to me and say, "Wow, I was giving him my update, promoting myself, feeling like I had finally gotten there." And he looks at me and says, "Man, sounds like you're kind of in a rut." I was like, "What?"
This is when you were at the bank?
No, this is when I was running my business.
You were already in the business.
That's the book, yeah. I mean, I felt like I was there, and he called me on it. He said, "Man, it sounds like you're in a rut." And I went back to my office and spent 4 hours on a Friday night from 6 to 10, and then went, wow, he's right. I'm in a rut. So I had to rethink the process and what I was doing and get myself out of that rut and continue that growth journey that I was on.
Got it. Well, I think that especially as entrepreneurs and small business owners, we always kind of, I don't know if the word is reinventing ourselves. I mean, people do that and they reinvent themselves and maybe they start a different company or they change careers or whatever. But I think we always kind of have to maybe refresh is a better word, right? Because we do get in a rut and we do kind of get caught up with the day-to-day, which is some of what the strategic planning is all about, working with mentors and, keeping, outside the forest a little bit when you're working on your business as opposed to working in your business. But I'm curious, and maybe we could do this. I'll take a 2-minute commercial break, which, like I told you before, hopefully will work. Didn't work in the last episode, but that's okay. And then we could talk about some advice for, people in different industries, what mistakes you see people make on a regular basis and how to kind of, overcome those. Don't get in the rut. Keep growing the business. And you don't have to be the person that scales. You can do whatever you want. That's one of the beauties of being a business for yourself. But, the things that you've learned along the way, some of which I'm sure we'll discuss on your podcast as well. But I think it lends itself to multiple conversations, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yep, I agree.
All right, let's jump to the commercials and then we will come back. So hopefully you will hear these.
Here's a word from our sponsors.
Looking to market and grow your business? Or perhaps you're just getting started and want to hit the ground running? AWeber is the best choice for online email marketing and automation of your business. From maintaining a subscriber list to drip campaigns and landing pages, AWeber gives you tools and integrations that make marketing easy and fun. As our partner and sponsor, we use all their tools to promote the podcast and market our law firm. AWeber, the best alternative for online marketing. For over 30 years, the Alternative Board, or TAB, has built a thriving community of forward-thinking CEOs and business owners who want to radically improve their companies. Through unique combinations of one-on-one business coaching, participation in monthly TAB board meetings with other non-competing owners, a suite of strategic tools, and customized strategic planning workshops, TAB membership can deliver greater strength to your business and a better work-life balance for you and your family. All packaged in a streamlined and affordable service that the people at TAB invite you to try risk-free. Maybe you're looking to get into podcasting, or you just want to market your business. Maybe you want to do it for enjoyment, or because you have a message you want to get out there. One of One Productions is a New Jersey-based studio just over the George Washington Bridge that caters to the booming business of podcasting. They offer a comfortable atmosphere using the latest technology available to record your podcast. And they are a full-service media company offering both audio and video production services, creating both audio and video podcasts, as well as video shorts for business and personal use. Professional audio equipment packages are available through their website for all budgets. And be sure to check out their podcast guesting kit, created especially for our listeners. Follow the link in the show notes to learn more about all of our sponsors. And now back to our show. All right, Chris, we are back. I don't know, you froze up there. Are you still with us? Let's see. I think we might have lost Chris. Hopefully he'll come back on. In the meantime, if you are watching or listening to the podcast, we are going to take a short break.